Welcome back to the Football Corner Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremiah Queen. And of course, before we get started, if you're watching me on YouTube, hit the like button, click the subscribe button. Also, click the notification bell so you can be up to date when new videos drop on the channel. Also, if you listen to me on a podcast app like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or even Spotify, go subscribe to the podcast. And let's talk about the AFC North. The AFC North has to be probably the most difficult division to win currently through 5 weeks in the NFL. The Steelers just beat the Baltimore Ravens. Score was 17-10, and I don't think Lamar Jackson played his best game by his standards. But also, I don't think the Steelers are playing good football at all. But they always find a way to win. Mike Tomlin is a defensive coach, so they're going to have a really good defense, and they're going to generate good pass rush. I think T.J. Watt had 2 sacks in that game. They have T.J. Watt, Alex Highsmith, and they have playmakers on defense all around. But this offense, it's always struggling. 17 points is nothing to brag about. I understand the Baltimore Ravens have really good defense, and this is a rivalry game in the division. But all season, the Steelers haven't shown me anything. It's stale. It's a stale offense. It's stale bread. You don't want to have it in your house. It's going to get moldy. It's going to rot out. It's going to make your stomach hurt. That's what I feel about when I see the Steelers offense in general. And then you have the Bengals. The Bengals have won their second game. Congratulations. They're 2-3. They're still last place in the division. The Browns are 2-2 because they were on a bye week. But it's weird because 2 of these quarterbacks have kryptonites. You have Lamar Jackson's kryptonite is the Steelers. He's 1-3. And then Joe Burrow's kryptonite is the Browns. He's 1-5. This is what makes this division so difficult because no matter how bad those opposing teams are playing, Lamar Jackson just doesn't have a good game against the Steelers, and Joe Burrow just doesn't have a good game against the Browns. It'll be interesting going forward who will win this division. But if you're a Steelers fan, we're in first place, baby. People didn't pick us to win division going to the end of the season. I had the Steelers going to the playoffs. I actually have 3 teams from this division going to the playoffs. The Ravens leading it. Next will be the Bengals. And then the Steelers will get in as like a 7th seed wild card team because I think they're just too well coached on defense. And they just have a knack for winning because Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season. So let's transition into my favorite segment, Heroes and Zeros. So if you're a hero, it's because you had a hero's performance on Sunday in week 5, and I'm going to give you a little badge of honor for doing that. And then if you're a zero, that means you were awful and you cost your team a victory. So my first hero has to be Desmond Ridder, okay? Now everybody want to talk about Desmond Ridder. If I live in Atlanta, so I hear Falcons fans talking about Desmond Ridder constantly about he is just not good enough as a quarterback. And I always tell people, I was like, you got to give him a chance. He is a rookie. I understand his rookie season was last year, but he only played 4 games. He has played a total of 9 games. Last I checked, a full season of worth of games is 17. Desmond Ridder had 329 passing yards, 1 touchdown through the air, 1 touchdown on the ground, led a game-winning drive so Younghoe Koo could kick a field goal when they were down by 1 point, 19-18. They get the 21-19 victory over the Texans. I thought Desmond Ridder showed the world that I can't pass the ball. I know the Falcons' offense has been so far this season defense in the run game because they got an electrifying running back at Bijan Robinson, and they have Tyler Algier, the guy who had 1,000 yards last year as a rookie from BYU. I think Desmond Ridder kind of was finding himself in this game against a good DeMeco Ryans defense in the Texans, the same Texas team that blew out the Steelers. And the Steelers are leading their division currently. I really like what I saw from Desmond Ridder, and I think this game is going to show Falcons fans, calm down a little bit. Desmond Ridder is finding his footing as a young quarterback. You should treat him as a rookie as such, and if I'm going by those standards, I thought Desmond Ridder really was a hero today. Second hero will be Jared Goff. Jared Goff, the guy who got casted away from the Rams, from Matthew Stafford, and the trade with the Lions, and then Matthew Stafford ended up taking the Rams to the Super Bowl. But the Rams pulled chips in. Jared Goff, I was a Pro Bowler last year, and he's going to be a Pro Bowler this year. I had the Lions winning the NFC North, and they are proving me right with being 4-1 and having 2 games on the next guy in the division. I love what I'm seeing from the Detroit Lions. They're a run-first team, and they or sprinkling in the passing game. And Jared Goff is just a pure drop back passer. He's not a mobile quarterback. He's with a three-step drop, and he's just throwing the ball. He had 3 touchdowns through the air and 1 touchdown on the ground. So he accounted for 4 total touchdowns and a blowout victory over the Panthers. And the Panthers might be the worst team in football. So I guess it's not as glorious, but Jared Goff don't get to pick and choose what defense he gets to play. Just win the games you're supposed to win. If you're playing a weak opponent, whoop that ass, okay? Whoop their ass. Because weaker opponents need to put a points upon them because it's supposed to be easy for you. They're not a good team. So that's how you're supposed to treat them. And that's why Jared Goff is a hero from week 5. So we got heroes. And let's go to our 0. I know you notice I didn't say zeros. There's only 1 0. That's Mac Jones. Mac Jones is not playing good football at all, and it's not all his fault, but we'll talk about it later in the podcast. I don't want to give out too much information why I don't think it's Mac Jones' fault. But Mac Jones has to play better. The least thing you can't do is just don't turn the ball over. You had 2 interceptions. You didn't only pass for 110 passing yards. You put up 0 points. 0 points in an NFL game. That's never acceptable. At least get a field goal, make it somewhat respectable. They got blown out by the New Orleans Saints, 34-0. Mac Jones is my 0 because he was very costly and why the Patriots lost on Sunday. But I don't think it was all his fault, but he still had 2 turnovers, and that's never acceptable. Let's get to the Week 5 MVP, shall we? It will go to a group of men, not just one guy. Usually it's one guy, but it's a group of men who pitched a shutout. And that'll be the Saints defense. The Saints defense only give up 156 yards total. Only 156 yards. They had 3 turnovers and gave up 0 points. This defense was electric. It was flying around the football. Congratulations to the Saints on their victory. They were 3-2 on the season and trying to win that NFC South crown. And let's get to the timeout corner. If you come to the timeout corner, that means something's wrong with you. It's something wrong. And who was in the timeout corner? Well, the same team was in the timeout corner last week. And that's the New England Patriots. And more specifically, Bill Belichick. At some point, these losses are getting worse and worse by the week. You got shut out. Your offense is averaging 11 points a game, and your defense is giving up 26. So it's not like your defense is flying around and being, like, lights out. And my biggest issue is, like, I could blame Mac Jones for a lot of things. Turnovers are never acceptable when you're playing the quarterback position. But when you have nothing to work with on offense, what's going to happen? Like, the fact that this is their top 3 receivers currently on their roster. Kendrick Bourne was number 1 receiver ever. He's never been a number 1 receiver. Ever. Okay? Back when he was playing with 49ers, he was not a number 1 receiver. Okay? You have Devontae Parker. He had 1 good season with the Miami Dolphins. He had like 1,100 yards, but that's it. Wasn't even a Pro Bowler. So they wasn't even considered him a top-tier receiver. And then he got replaced in the draft by Jalen Waddle, and then they ended up giving a true number 1 receiver in Tyreek Hill. The third guy is Juju Smith-Schuster. Now, I understand he's been to a Pro Bowl, but that was with the assist of Antonio Brown. We know this. Ever since he has not been with Antonio Brown, he has not been a number 1 receiver. He's been number 2. Okay? You can say, well, he led the Chiefs in receiving at the receiver position. He did. But he didn't have 1,000 yards. You had Pat Mahomes. Didn't have 1,000 yards when you have Pat Mahomes as a quarterback? I thought everybody could get 1,000 yards with Pat Mahomes. This Juju is not a number 1. He's a number 2. Devontae Parker's a number 2. And Kendrick Bourne is a 3 at best. So you got two 2s and 1 3. And you expect this offense to be proficient. You expect this offense to be lights out. And I don't like to beat the guy who says this, but he's missing Brady and Mike McDaniels. And I think he's missing Mike McDaniels even more. So Brady's a Hall of Fame quarterback. But I think if he had Mike McDaniels, Mike McDaniels could get the best out of a number 2 receiver. We've seen it. Your Wes Welkers, you had your Aguilars, who was dominant. Your Jacoby Myers. Like, Jacoby Myers looks like a pretty good receiver. You let him go for Juju Smith-Schuster. He's looking pretty good with the Las Vegas Raiders. Like, it's an issue. And at some point, if you're Robert Kraft or if you're the ownership of the Patriots, and you're the GM, you have to look at yourself and be like, Bill Belichick is archaic. He's not with the new times of how the NFL teams are being used. It's an offensive league. It's not all about defense right now. You want a good defense, but your offense should be your focal point because that's the side of football that's going to be scoring all your points. And I think that if I was Robert Kraft, you do this in the nicest way as possible. You force him to resign. There's nothing wrong with that. Force a legend to resign. Just say, step down. Give him another position in the building that's not head coach because he is wasting the Patriots roster, and their Patriots are looking like the bottom 3 team in the NFL today. For my upset of the week in week 5, we got to go to the New York Jets. The Jets have 2 victories on the season. They're 2-3. They beat a Broncos team that was, you could tell Nathaniel Hackett wanted it the most because of all the things that were happening in the offseason with Sean Payton. Talk about the Broncos being the worst coaching job. Sean Payton, I would like you to know that Broncos team had more than 1 win. I just want to let you know that you're 1-4 with Russell Wilson, and your team looks awful. So before you start running your mouth about what was bad, how about you keep your mouth shut and be humble and see if you can fix the situation before you taking shots at other coaches. But that being said, congratulations to New York Jets. They deserved it. They had the victory 31-21, in which the odd makers had the Broncos winning that game. The Jets were 2-3, and Zach Wilson's playing a little better. So the Jets might actually win more games than we think because Zach Wilson has a little more confidence, and kudos to him. Well, since you're still watching this video, I would like for you to click the like button, click the subscribe button, click the notification bell so you could be up to date when new videos fall on the YouTube channel. Also, if you want to follow me on my social media pages, it will be on TikTok and Instagram at the Football Corner Podcast. Thanks for watching. See you next time.